Hey, it's Liam Killen. Nice to see you all again. First off, and real quick, I'm giving away this Micro Freak vocoder edition. Brand new, still in the box, super easy entry. I've actually linked how to do that right here and also in the description. If you haven't entered, do that because the winner is going to be announced pretty soon on September 23rd, 2020. And I'll basically be featuring Arturia products until the winner is announced. So I've been sampling the Drumbrute Impact here, and I just put out a video last week about working with cool and interesting West African rhythms and applying them to the Drumbrute Impact. And those are the rhythms that we're going to be working with today. So if at any point you're interested in how I broke them down, there's a link up there and also in the description. I know I'm really blasting you guys with these description links, but I promise it's worth it. But yeah, it was just really fun to run like ancient, timeless rhythms through something that's modern and electronic. And I was really happy with the results. Sampling with the Drumbrute Impact is quick and easy, but there are a few things that were confusing to me about the whole process. So this video is like a walkthrough of the problems that I ran into and also just general insight on how I sample using the Drumbrute Impact. We'll also be taking a quick look into how I process these samples into my cassette player, or cassette recorder, I guess I should say. Yeah, it's the Tascam Portastudio. And if we want to get more specific with the model, it's the Tascam Portastudio 424 mkii. If you want to get real nerdy with it, obviously I could have recorded directly through my sound card and into my DAW, but people seem to like that lo-fi quality mixed with something that's modern and brand new. Fresh, brand new, electronic music. Yeah, it sounds really fresh when you process something brand new into vintage gear. Gives like a certain freshness, but vintagey flavor to it, which makes it fresh. I don't even know anymore. If it sounds good, it's good. This whole processing process seems to be consistent with all of my other sample packs, and people seem to like them, so I'm just gonna keep doing it for now. Links to those sample packs are in the description, by the way. Also, right off the bat, for all of you beat stealers out there, these samples will be available for download in the future, and I'm aware that you guys are able to just rip them straight out of the video right here, right now. In fact, people in the past have straight up told me that they're gonna be ripping sounds out of my videos or samples, whatever. So I've learned quick. Thanks, YouTube. If you want to rip them, go ahead, but I'm just letting you know that the quality is not the best. I'm running everything through this cheap little Zoom H1N preamp, which sounds fine for YouTube videos, but maybe not the best for professional music recording. So you could take them, but good luck. No. And that's one of the game-breaking parts about the Drumbrute Impact, is that you're able to split up your drums on several different stems. So you have a few inputs here: kick, snare, hi-hats, FM drum, mix output, and headphone jack. Let me just give you a clear image of that. Hopefully that's clear enough. And that brings us to our first topic. Let us begin. All right, guys, so first things first, let's plug her into the Tascam Portastudio. I'm plugging kick into input 1, snare and claps into input 2, and hi-hat into input 3. I don't know what I was thinking, but I made the assumption that somewhere, somehow the toms fit into those 3 inputs. I was wrong. Still no toms at this point, so I tried plugging into the FM drum output, thinking that it would also have toms, because, you know, same frequency. It would make sense. Nope. And so at this point, there were no inputs left except for headphone jack and full mix output. What is going on here? Okay, so let's stop this for a second and I'm going to explain a few things. If you plug in one individual instrument, let's say just the hi-hats, that's all you're going to hear. However, whatever output here is not occupied, you're going to hear it through mix output or the headphone jack. So let's say we're plugged into hi-hat, all of the other parts will be on one track through the output mix. So you could basically split it up any way that you want with a maximum of 5 outputs. This is totally cool, but there's a major flaw about this in my opinion. So let's say all of these outputs are being used: kick, snare, hi-hat, FM drum. We're left with toms and cymbal, which would be coming out of the mixed output. This isn't ideal, and you might be asking why. Thanks for asking. The reason why is because let's say you're bouncing all of this into your DAW, which chances are you are if you're sampling the Drumbrute Impact. When you're mixing, ideally you want each stem to be in the same frequency, but you're left with cymbal, which is the high frequencies, and then toms, which is the low frequencies. So that stem all together will be tough to mix. This will hinder your mixing process, at least for that one stem, which is a bummer. But there's a way around it. I decided to just drop the cymbal pattern altogether, so I muted it and I transferred it over to the hi-hat pattern. So that way it's on its own stem. Anyway, so after all this mishap, there was some more mixing and level adjustments. The next step was to actually record these sounds into my cassette recorder. Another thing you might want to think about when it comes to sampling any drum machine, not just the Drumbrute Impact, is just having enough pattern variations to have something solid and worthwhile to download. And that's where the random button comes into play. So the way that I did it, I just sequenced each pattern 4 times, playing right through it without any fills. For the second pass, I did the exact same thing, 4 times per pattern, but I used the random button. This way the Drumbrute Impact generates fills, and pretty awesome fills, I may add. I'm a drummer, so it says a lot. And of course, the higher you go, the more intense and busier the fills will become. I would say that this is definitely my favorite feature of the Drumbrute Impact. So if you already own one, I highly suggest that you explore it. As for the drum machine, this is pretty much it, the first step of my sampling process. So now everything is recorded into my cassette recorder. Great. This Tascam Portastudio has a pitch knob, and therefore you could change the pitch and the tempo of each stem. So this process is really simple, and it's just about finding a tempo that you vibe with. I like to choose 3 different tempos, so starting with the original one, which you're hearing right now. So right now the audio is recording into my DAW, and with vintage gear this is a bit of a setback because you actually have to record the full track into your DAW. Takes time. Tempo 2 is the one that I slowed down, so it's just about finding that sweet spot. And tempo 3 is the faster tempo. I've got to say that this sounds really close to those authentic West African rhythms that I got these beats from. There actually is another step, but it's way too tedious and boring for me to show you on YouTube. The thing about bouncing through a cassette is that the tempo sways very slightly. It's not like metronomic anymore. So you actually have to go back into the session and like chop everything up to make sure that it lines up metronomically. It takes some time. But if that's what it takes to get that authentic cassette quality that people are looking for, then I'm fine with that. Pitching up and down on tape is absolutely flawless, and you can't really say that about a DAW. Like, it's able to pitch things up and down, but you lose some of that quality. Whereas with cassette, the punch just stays there all the way. Hopefully this video was informative to you guys. Thank you so much for sticking it out until the end. If you're into this sort of content, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, but apparently the notification bell is much more important than the subscribe button. This is what I've heard through the YouTubes. So if you want to hear more from me, make sure to hit the notification bell, and that'll just help my channel out a bunch. So thank you for your support. Reminder that the Microfreak Vocoder Edition, this is brand new, still in the box. This giveaway is still in session, and I'll be announcing the winner on September 23rd. I'll be featuring Arturia products pretty much across all of my social media up until that point. Thanks so much for watching, and I should have a pretty dope sample pack for you guys pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. Cheers.